when you look at your plate of food, what do you really see? You probably see calories, maybe some protein, some carbs. But what if I told you that's just the tip of the iceberg? There's this whole hidden world of rules, secret alliances, and even tiny battles happening right on your plate and inside your body. And honestly, understanding them changes everything.
This is the big question, right? It's what launches 1,000 diet books and health fads. But the answer, it turns out, isn't just about counting calories or macros. It's about understanding the official maps we've been given for healthy eating, how the food we eat actually behaves, and how your personal plate connects to a much, much bigger global story.
So, to figure out where we're going with our health, we've got to look at the maps we've been using to navigate. For decades, governments have given us these official dietary guides, and let's just say the map has changed a lot.
Okay, I'm sure you remember the classic food guide pyramid from 1992. It was everywhere. The whole idea was to build your diet on a big foundation of carbs. Then, in 2005, it got a little refresh with My Pyramid. They added that little person climbing the stairs to remind us all to get moving. But then in 2011, poof, the pyramid was gone. It was replaced by something totally different, My Plate. And this wasn't just a new logo, it was a fundamental shift in how we were told to think about food.
So why the huge change? Well, the old pyramid had some pretty big blind spots. It kind of lumped all fats into the use sparingly category, and it didn't really make a distinction between, say, a slice of white bread and a bowl of whole grain oats. My Plate just sliced right through all that confusion. Its message is beautifully simple, a visual rule of thumb. Just make half your plate fruits and vegetables. It's direct, it's about portions, and it's a completely different philosophy.
All right, so we've seen how the official guides have evolved. But now, let's go from the map on the wall to the invisible action happening inside our bodies. Because as soon as you eat that healthy food, a whole new set of rules kicks in. You can think of it as a series of invisible food fights and sometimes team-ups. First up, I want to introduce you to a key player in this fight, the anti-nutrient. Yeah, it sounds pretty sinister, I know. But really, these are just natural compounds that plants produce to protect themselves, kind of like their own built-in defense system. The only catch is, when we eat these plants, those same defensive compounds can sometimes block our bodies from absorbing all the good stuff, like vitamins and minerals.
But it's not all conflict down there. Sometimes nutrients team up in these really cool ways. It's called synergy. The classic example is iron and vitamin C. Let's say you're getting iron from plants, like in beans or lentils. That type of iron can be a little tough for your body to grab onto. But if you add some vitamin C, like a squeeze of lime or some bell peppers in your chili, bam! Your body can suddenly absorb that iron way more effectively. They're like a little dynamic duo.
Okay, so let's get specific about these nutrient blockers, because this is where it gets interesting. Super healthy foods like whole grains and beans have something called phytates, which can get in the way of iron and zinc absorption. Those leafy greens we're all told to eat, they have oxalates, which can bind to calcium, and even that relaxing cup of tea as tannins, which can reduce iron absorption. Now, this does not mean these foods are bad for you. Far from it. It just means there's a really complex game of chemistry going on with every single meal. So, what on earth do you do about these blockers? Well, the good news is, you don't need a PhD in chemistry to solve this. The answers are actually found in really simple, traditional ways of preparing food. Things like soaking your beans overnight, sprouting your grains, or just cooking your vegetables thoroughly can dramatically reduce the levels of these anti-nutrients. It's like unlocking even more of the good stuff that's already in there.
We've gone from the dinner plate down to the microscopic level. Now, I want you to zoom all the way out with me. Because your personal food choices, they're just one tiny piece of a massive, incredibly complex, and super important global equation. We're talking about food security.
So what does food security actually mean? It's a very specific and powerful definition. It's not just about whether a country has enough food. It's about whether all people, at all times, have the physical, social, and economic ability to get sufficient, safe, and nutritious food. You see, every single one of those words matters.
The experts break it down into four main pillars. First is availability. Is there enough food? Second is access. Can people actually get to it and afford it? Third is utilization. Can their bodies actually use the nutrients in the food? And hey, that ties right back to those invisible food fights we were just talking about. And the fourth is stability. Does this access hold up over time? It's like a table. If any one of those four legs is wobbly, the whole system is at risk of crashing down.
So what's kicking out the legs of that table? The biggest threats are, unfortunately, ones we hear about all the time. Poverty is a huge one. It traps people in a cycle where they can't afford food or invest in growing it.
Conflict is another devastating factor. It shatters supply chains and forces people to flee their farms and homes. And layered on top of all of that is climate change, making farming more unpredictable and difficult than ever before.
So, from the food pyramid to anti-nutrients to global supply chains, you start to see how it's all connected, right? The food that ends up on our plate is really the last step in this incredibly long, complicated, and often fragile journey. And understanding that journey is absolutely critical for our shared future.
And the stakes, well, they couldn't be higher. This isn't just some abstract economic problem. It's deeply human. As the source material puts it so powerfully, when food security fails, the result is malnutrition. They can leave children permanently stunted, both physically and mentally. It affects their entire lives.
And if you want a sense of the scale and the urgency of this challenge, just look at this number, 2050. That's the year that Nigeria, for instance, is projected to become the third most populous country in the world. The global demand for food is growing at an incredible rate, and the pressure on this whole system is just going to get more intense.
So here's the bottom line, the big takeaway from all of this. The hidden rules of your food don't just stop at your kitchen table. The health advice we follow, the invisible chemistry happening in every bite, and the huge sprawling systems that get food from a farm to our fork, it's all one interwoven global story. Your plate is connected to the entire planet.
And that brings us right back to your plate. We've looked at the maps, we've peeked into the invisible chemistry, and we've seen the global stakes. So the only question left is the one for you. Knowing all this, knowing your plate is connected to the planet, how will you approach your next meal?